So not long ago, I did a video on my favorite horror franchises. Well, today, I want to give you the 5 worst horror franchises I've ever seen. Hey, what's up everybody? Nick here, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about the 5 worst horror franchises I've ever seen. Now, I have to preface this by saying that doesn't mean that every movie in this given series is bad. It just means that there are so many stinkers in the series that it just outweighs the good, and the series as a whole is just kind of trash. I should also say there's a lot of controversial series that people talk about when they talk about how terrible they are that I just haven't seen all the way through. Now, coming in at number 5 is going to be one that I don't hear a lot of people talk about, and I think there's a reason for that, but I think we need to remember this and really think about this. It's The Grudge. Look, I am not huge into J-horror, simply just because I haven't really expanded my horizons yet and watched a ton of it. But the stuff I have watched, I really like. Even not being huge into J-horror, I know enough from what I've seen and the people I've talked to that it's almost always better in its original form. The American adaptations are always lesser. Now, there's a movie like The Ring that's really good. And then there's a movie and a series like The Grudge that really isn't. Let me tell you about when I first saw The Grudge way back in the day as a kid. It scared the crap out of me, okay? That chick, the little boy, that was like pure nightmare fuel for me at a young, impressionable age. And now as I've gotten older, I went back and rewatched the first movie and I was like, wow, this actually isn't good. And it doesn't get better from there. See, even as a young kid, I knew that The Grudge 2 was not good, and I have not revisited it because I did not like the movie. I saw The Grudge 3 once, pretty sure that was a straight-to-video movie. It's low budget and terrible. And then the reboot that came out in 2020 or 2021 is trash. It's terrible. It's absolutely awful. Wasted Lin Shaye. It was like the only reason I even sought the movie out anyway. It's just bad. From front to back, the series is just bad. And when I see people do lists like this, I don't really ever see them talk about The Grudge. And I think it's because we've just memory holed it. It is like so insignificant to us that we don't talk about it anymore, but we should, because the series is not good.
What a load of old shit.
Coming in at number 4 is going to be one that might surprise some of you guys. It's The Leprechaun. Look, I love Warwick Davis as the Leprechaun. And I will maintain that I think the first 3 movies are varying degrees of decent to, manageable, tolerable, and there's some fun moments in there. And Warwick Davis really always gives it his all. But once we went to space, this franchise went to shit. And there's really no other way to put it. I know a lot of people have a soft spot for that movie and some later movies in the series, but I feel like that was the turning point. Even if you found some redeeming qualities in that movie, it's undeniable that the series went downhill from that point. Look, Leprechaun in the Hood, awful. Leprechaun Back to the Hood, are you kidding me? Leprechaun Origins, that's not even, that's Hornswoggle. That's not even a Leprechaun. That is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Leprechaun Origins is genuinely one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Now, Leprechaun Returns was a decent return to form, but it wasn't Warwick Davis, and it wasn't really the same. I wanted more of that original flavor. If you're going to be a legacy sequel, I don't know, it just didn't feel connected enough for me. So overall, the bad really outweighs the good in this series. And when I tell you that the bad in this series is bad, I mean it. It is really bad. Leprechaun in the Hood is also a movie that I will never watch again. You couldn't pay me enough money. Well, maybe you could, but I will never out of, pleasure, my own leisure, watch Leprechaun in the Hood again. Look, again, guys, I said, the first one I think is a good movie. I will maintain that. The second and third one have their moments. They're fun. They're okay. After that, it is a complete doo-doo pile that you should never subject yourself to ever for any reason.
That is one big pile of shit.
Coming in at number 3 is going to be Jeepers Creepers. And now I'm sure this surprises some of you guys, because you guys know that I will maintain the first Jeepers Creepers film is one of the greatest horror movies of the 21st century. And I still feel that way. That movie is phenomenal. Unfortunately, it is squandered from that point. The best you can say about Jeepers Creepers 2 is that it's dumb fun. I guess, but it does not at all feel like the first movie. They really leaned into some really weird, uncomfortable elements that I think had something to do with the director. If you know, you know. If not, so the movie just has this like weird, creepy vibe to it. Like it just makes you feel dirty watching it. But furthermore, it's just not at all scary anymore. They're not even trying to be. It's just kind of dumb. But like I said, I guess at the end of the day, it's like harmless stupidity. Like it's just like, okay, well, that existed. But from that point forward, buddy, back up the trucks of manure. Because you got Jeepers Creepers 3, which I still maintain is the worst Jeepers Creepers movie. Because it had been so long since the first two films. It really were kind of a phenomenon. And this movie was supposed to be the sequel to bridge all the movies together and complete the trilogy. And it's terrible. I mean, it is absolutely terrible. So low budget, nonsensical plot. I mean, they don't even try to explain some things. Terrible acting. Terrible visuals. It is an awful movie. The only thing I can say is that I guess you got Jonathan Breck back, and I guess that's cool, I guess. But even that, no, it's a terrible movie. And then Jeepers Creepers Reborn is also a terrible movie. But the difference there is Jeepers Creepers Reborn almost kind of knew it was terrible. Like it was kind of filmed in the shadows. It wasn't really marketed all that much. It kind of just came out because they knew what they had. And I will say, everything about the third one applies to this one. It looks terrible. It's acted terribly. Like, it's just bad. The difference is, at least a decent amount goes on. And at times, it's kind of fun. Like, so bad, so stupid, it's, like, fun. But it's still bad. Jeepers Creepers 3 thinks it is high art. And it is just genuine dog shit. So overall, as a whole, even though the first movie is great and the second movie is okay, the last two are genuine pieces of shit, and I cannot, in good conscience, say this is a good franchise.
My house is full of shit! He's shit everywhere!
Coming in at number 2 is going to be Wrong Turn. Now, I've noticed there's a lot of people that really have a soft spot for this series, and when it comes to the first few films, I totally get it. After that, I really, really don't. Look, the first film, I really, really enjoy. I remember owning that on DVD when I was a kid, and me and my brother, we loved that movie. We wore that DVD out. I would say the second and the third movie are, again, varying levels of, okay, tolerable. But after that, this thing takes a nosedive to the point where we get into, like, just straight up, like, I don't even know, Skinamax territory. And we're getting to a point where we're stretching beyond what the first movie even set up. Characters, all that. It's just motivations. It's terrible. It's just milking a cow. I guess there was enough money on the home video market to warrant making these movies, I guess. But clearly they stopped giving a shit after like the third movie because they're really just bad and they only get worse. Again, with, like some of these other franchises I talked about up to this point, there's some really bad acting, really bad effects, really stupid characters, stretching 90 minutes plus into a film when there's not enough plot to do that in the first place. Just, no, it's terrible. Now, I'll say the reboot is okay, it's passable, but it's not Wrong Turn. It is completely different. They use the name, I think, to try to gin up excitement and interest. And then when you watch it, you're like, well, it's not a terrible movie, but that's not really Wrong Turn at all. So I almost can't even include it. Look, overall, the series sucks. If you want to watch the first movie, I implore you to do so. You could even skip the second and third. Although they're okay, they're not necessary. But the series as a whole, not good.
I am dead inside.
And now before I give my number 1, I just want to say, because some of you guys may be surprised to have not seen this on my list, the Amityville series, because I would hardly call it really a franchise, I did not include. Because I haven't seen all 30 plus of these Amityville toilet or whatever the hell. I mean, I genuinely would never subject myself to all of that. I would imagine that if we're going off of quality with a series as a whole, I'm sure that series would belong on this list. But again, like I said, I haven't seen all of them. My number 1 is going to be one that is probably the most often maligned series in the, horror community. It's Children of the Corn. I mean, it really, really is. The first movie, I don't even think is all that good. The first movie, I believe, is passable. I can enjoy the first movie for what it is, and I can say, you know what? If these are the seeds of what you're building toward, I guess I'm on board enough. And I feel like there's a lot of nostalgia there because I grew up with the movie. But watching it now with my, 30-year-old eyes, I'm like, this isn't very good. And it gets immeasurably worse from there, to the point where you get to part 6, 7, and you genuinely want to jump feet first into a wood chipper because it would actually probably be more exciting than watching another Children of the Corn movie. Look, it's Stephen King. I know everybody wants to touch every property of his because they feel like it's going to make them money. And oftentimes they're right. Children of the Corn, though, it's just bad. I don't even know what else to say about it. Look, we talk as a horror community often about movies don't need to be remade and we don't need to revisit this or revisit that. If there is one series that needs a remake, it is Children of the Corn. It needs a remake with well-known actors that can give good performances, a decent budget, a great filmmaker, and an attempt at making something new, saying something new with this old property. Because at this point, anytime you hear about a Children of the Corn movie coming out, and I know there was one recently a couple years ago that went like straight to streaming or straight to VOD, nobody cares. It's a punchline. You just laugh because that's what the franchise has become. And I would say it's sad, but it's really not because the franchise has never been all that good. So this is a series that desperately needs somebody to put some TLC behind it and make a decent movie. Because this franchise as a whole is undoubtedly the worst series I've ever seen. But I want to hear down below in the comment section what you guys think of my list. Did I miss one that you really think sticks out like a sore thumb? Is there one that I said that you disagree with and you want to fight for? Let me know down in the comments section. I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please leave a like on it. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. This is Nick at the Lost River Drive-In, and I'm pulling out.